Well, howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. This is amateur artist Martin D. Chandler once again from Man Land. And this here video, well, is pretty much dedicated to the idea of cooking on a small fire. Because it's very hot today and I don't want to build a big fire. But I want to do a little cooking video. And I decided, well, what would be the best way to manage your cook system on a small open fire and be able to still manage the heat. This is how I did it. Take a look-see. Well, alrighty. That there's one of them tiny mini Bic lighters I had in one of my cook kits, and I decided to go ahead and use it too. I ain't used it in a while. And here I'm adding some sticks and twigs and, you know, relatively small pieces because I want a small fire. I've got my little bit of coals there, and that right there is a UST Folding Shovel. Now that's a handy dandy little contraption right there. It sure enough is. Of course, now you do need to sharpen it if you really expect to do any type of digging, which I've already done here prior to this video. And this right here is an Esbit stove, and I'm going to use it as a pot stand because it works excellent. If you look at the top of that thing, see the holes in it? It allows that heat to come through somewhat, but reduces a direct amount of heat there on that Canteen cup. That's a stainless steel Canteen cup, and here I'm moving some of them coals out the way because I don't want that handle to get hot. Remember, this is all about controlling the heat from the handle to the front side to directly underneath and on top if possible. So I rinsed the cup out. You can see some of the water residue in there. I want to kind of dry it out just a bit because I'm going to add me some cooking oil to it. Yeah, I got to do a little light fry or a little light cooking there. And here comes the cooking oil. And I just want to heat that oil up because what I'm doing is I'm actually seasoning my Canteen cup to make it non-stick for what I'm about to do here. I got a piece of catfish I'm finna throw in there. That's right, catfish. But I want to kind of slightly pan fry it. I don't want to deep fry it. Now I'm moving the coals here back toward the front, and I noticed that the embers was jumping in my cup, so that's when you want to put a lid on. But see how I pushed that lid down? Yeah, you don't want to do that. Nobody in their right mind wants to do any type of cooking with a lid that seals tightly. In other words, it snaps shut. You don't want that. You want a loose fitting lid, and I'm about to find out here the reason why. Now I'm moving them coals up there in front, not too far from my original spot, and the wind's blowing a little bit, so I'm going to rely on that wind to reignite my second fire, fire number 2. Now I could have done it all in one, but well, I decided to play around while I had the time. Just make me a second fire. No, actually, I did need the second one for sure, because you're about to see how it all comes together. Small, controlled cooking. It's super hot out there, and we don't need no big old fire to do what I'm about to do. You see how that folding shovel, the UST comes in handy? Able to pick the stove up and maneuver it. Now it's right there in front of the next fire. And the coals that I had before, well, I'm just going to kind of scoot them around and kind of put them in the same area. Yeah. That little shovel comes in handy on small fires. I like that. Now here's the lid don't want to pop off. Now see, that could be troublesome when you're doing some cooking. Luckily that lid don't snap on that tight. And I've heated that oil up mighty good. See how it's starting to turn a little dark in there? I've already poured some of that oil out. And now I'm allowing it to cool down just a bit. That's why I'm going to pull this pot stand back. And I'm going to allow this stainless steel Canteen cup to cool off with the oil in it just a bit. That's what helps to make it non-stick, or as non-stick as possible. Now here in the next scene you're about to see coming up, there it is. There's that piece of fish. That is a piece of Mississippi farm-raised catfish, if I'm not mistaken. Old Bones brought a big old box over, and those right there are actually the nuggets, not a fillet. So now I'm going to push the coals back up in front of the cup. Notice I'm not putting it directly underneath the cup. Remember, I want a controlled cooking. I want to be able to control that heat as I need. And right now I have a pot stand that really doesn't have any flame underneath it. All the flame is coming from the front of that cup, and I need a little bit more flame. That's one thing about working with sticks. You know, you got to manage them sticks like a small hobo stove or a small cooking stove. You got to constantly add them twigs. Well, we still have to constantly do that here. And there's kind of a difference between cooking like this in a little open fire and then being able to use like a wood stove or a hobo stove to cook directly on top of, which does a much better job of directing the heat underneath your cooking implement. But here I can cook it from the front. I'm helping to reduce that heat. Now there's practically no stick in there. You saw the fish stick just a little bit in the center there. And I'm giving it a little swoosh around, and yeah, I'm cooking that fish for a reason, because I got me some ramen noodles to go in there. Yeah, fish and ramen noodles. Now here's what I wanted to show you. I've got the fish directly above the fire. See, my hand is in no danger. It's well protected. There's no heat in my hand. And this is the reason why I had this thing set up this way. Because now, got to do my fancy flip on that piece of fish, I'm able to use the hot flames, direct flames, to cook that heat. Cook the heat. I mean, cook the fish a little bit more direct. And when I feel like it's too hot, well, I can just simply pull it back. And that right there will take care of the heat control. Push it forward for more heat, pull it back to reduce the heat. That's how simple it is, and that's pretty much the essence of this video. But since I'm doing a little canteen cup cooking, I'm going to keep on forward. And, well, here's a direct shot right here. So you can kind of see the fry action, and as I pull it back, it cools down almost instantly. That's what I'm talking about, controlled cooking for a small fire. It don't get no simpler than that, folks. And there I go, try to do that fancy flip again. Look at there. Yeah. Now, I like this. I like this an awful lot. This is something that you can't do with a hobo stove or cooking directly, you know, with a wood-fired stove, because you're not able to really slide and control that thing all the time. Because when you set the pot down, there you go. You're directly on something that's a cool surface. I gently put the lid back on this time. I just want it to cover. I don't want it to seal up. And I'm going to add a few more sticks, because now I'm getting ready to do my next situation here, which is to add the ramen noodles. I'm going to check my fish one more time. Yeah, she's looking nice. She cooked all the way through. So I'm going to break the fish up there and get it chopped up just a bit. I could have actually boiled the fish, but I kind of wanted to sear it just a bit. There's just a difference in the taste. So now I've got my Mississippi bamboo wooden spoon pulled out here. That's one of my favorite bushcraft utility utensils there. I tell you what, we use that thing all the time inside the house, especially Wee Wee does. And she'll take it and stir Kool-Aid with it. Yeah. So I just got it kind of chopped up there. Don't want it breaking totally apart. I want some chunks. And the reason why I'm using catfish, you may be wondering, because the ramen noodles, well, oh, there's a canteen. I'm gonna talk about that canteen in another video. Yeah, that's a special canteen. Yep, and that's how I chopped it up there. Fish is not sticking, but it's okay. I'm gonna add some water to it from that very same canteen. Yep. Now I'm showing there's no heat there. I didn't talk during the video, and I figured I'd just go ahead and talk now. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that up there is hot, but back there it ain't. So here we go, in the cool position. Here comes the canteen. Gonna pour the water in there. Because the ramen noodles I'm using is one from, I think, directly from Asia. And don't get me, I don't even want to try to pronounce the name because I'm gonna mess it up. But you'll see it here on the video. And it's from Amazon.com. And it's a very nice, very well tasted. It's a lot better than ramen noodles. This thing here's actually got some good flavor, but it's supposed to be a shrimp flavor, and I didn't have no shrimp to put in this here recipe, so I decided, well, shoot, might as well substitute some catfish. I mean, if you're gonna have a shrimpy flavor, you know, crab legs or imitation crab meat, it ain't made with real crab, it's made with fish. So why not use fish to imitate shrimp? Alright, I'm building the fire back up now because, you know, that water in there, I got to get that water to boiling. Everybody knows that a direct flame is probably the fastest way to boil water, but it soots your pot up. But in this case, I really don't care, because this is part of the fun of cooking, putting some smut all over your pot. Remember, I've always said a man with a shiny pot is a man who just don't cook. Yeah, you can actually boil water directly over coals, but you got to have a lot of coals. You got to have that heat. And this is still a small controlled fire. We want to reduce the amount of heat, radiant heat, coming from any type of fire in this type of heat here in the state of Mississippi, because right now I think the heat index that day was around 102 or 103. And even though I'm kind of under the shade tree, that don't matter. There's one of the seasoning packs, and here comes seasoning pack number 2. And as you'll find out later on, this thing had kind of a peanut butter flavor. Now, I did break them ramen noodles up. They didn't come snapped like that. Yeah, and the amazing thing about these ramen noodles is they don't swell up like ramens do. They rehydrate, and they stay kind of skinny. And that's kind of interesting. So, right now, my water and everything is good and hot. Got the ramen noodles in there. Give it a little stir. And then some time goes by, and then I check out the water level in there. I did not pour any water out, and it worked out just right. Just perfect for me. And I'm going to add them seasoning packages in there because I want that shrimp flavor. Goes well with that there catfish, and that's a guarantee. So, if you like what you see here, I mean, there's many different ways of doing a controlled fire. Now, this right here is just with some very simple, basic pieces of kit. If you got yourself a Canteen cup, you don't have to have an Esbit stove. It just helps to have an Esbit stove in this particular application. But yeah, you can get your an old brick, set it to the side of the fire, and it does pretty much the same thing. But that Esbit is elevated and allows some of the heat to go past the cup underneath. It comes up through that Esbit stove with them little small air holes they use for the Esbit tablet. Esbit tablet, should I say? Yeah, it works pretty daggone well. Now, at this point, look at that catfish. Oh. Now, right there, it looks like it's too much water, but it ain't. And here I'm adding the seasonings in there. And I think that's what gives it the peanut butter flavor. I'm not sure, man. I tell you, this thing from Asia, but that stuff was pretty dadgum good. And I give it another stir there. Yeah, gotta moosh it around, kind of moosh it around a little bit. And by staying on the back side of that Canteen cup, I don't have my hands directly in front of the fire, and I'm not really feeling the heat as much, or per se. You know, as I'm putting the ingredients in there, yeah, you feel the flame. But I could have pulled the cup back away from the fire altogether, but I didn't want to, because that meant I got to move the camera back and forth. And the fact is that it works well. Right there is kind of like a heat shield for me as I work on it. There we go. Ooh, buddy. Talk about slaving over a hot stove. You remember that analogy? Yeah. That's why I did this on the smallest fire possible. And I am profusely sweating. Just this little time out here over a very small twig fire. And I'm ready to get back inside the house and cool down. I mean, my hat is wrenched. Putting a wet hat on, it's my own sweat. But I've got to give kudos where kudos is due. This morning, this happens to be a Wednesday. I don't know when I'm gonna upload this video, but this morning I saw a video from Diddy Bushcrafting Outdoors and Carolina Chris both, and they had gotten out there in the heat and cooked some ramen noodles. And I asked Wee, I said, Wee, have we got any ramen noodles left? And she said, yeah, we got that package, that real ramen noodle from Asia. And I said, what kind is it? She said, shrimp. Well, if I'd had me some shrimp, I'd have put me some real whole shrimp in there. But Bones had brought over some actual catfish fillets. So that's why I use catfish, to simulate a shrimp. Why not? One thing I'm trying not to do is sweat in my meal here. I haven't taste tested this yet. I use the 2 flavor packs. It may be a little spicy. It may not be. But using my my bamboo wooden, my Mississippi cane pole wooden spoon. Kind of like eating spaghetti with a spoon in it. Anyway, I'm finna give this a try as soon as it cools down just a little bit more. I ain't had breakfast and I ain't had lunch, and it's getting close to supper. Be right back. There's an airplane above us. Maybe they're scouting out, wanting some of this here Asian ramen noodle. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe this was bought off of Amazon, and it came from Wee Wee's, one of her daughters. And the stuff that I tried before was pretty daggone, pretty good. So I haven't tried this yet. Not this particular cooking. There's a piece of that there catfish. Let me give it a gobble. That's nice. I'm waiting for the afterbite. There is none. I'm not even sure what flavor that is. Slightly a shrimp flavor, maybe. Let me get some of this here ramen noodle. I can keep it on a spoon. I tell you, man, this is why bushcraft spoons are not what they're all cracked up to be. You need some bushcraft forks. But anyway, let's give it a try. That was too daggum hot for me to bite into. It's still hotted. But that little taste right there, that's pretty decent. I like that. That's, man, that is I didn't get much in my mouth, but that right there, it is slightly a peanut butter taste. Maybe. Whatever it is, this is doggone excellent. I just wait for it to cool down, man. I'm ready to munch down on this dude. You know what, folks? I got another Mississippi cane pole improvised spoon thing going on. It's my prototype that I made several hundred months ago. Let me go grab it right quick. Cover this up, try to keep some of the bugs out. Be right back. Yep. Had a 40-mile hike to the carport door there to get this here. Y'all seen this before. This is the improvised fork. Spork. I hate when they call it a spork, but anyway, see how this one works. Let's see, spaghetti with a spoon. I don't know about that. Let me tuck lay down. I mean, I can actually grab a hold of something now. And that's better than chopsticks. Darn thing's still hot. But let me try to give you a close-up. But don't spill it. Man, that is some superior, but that is some superior ramen noodles there. It's tender, but yet it doesn't swell up as much. And it practically soaked all that water up. I didn't pour any of that moisture out. And, well, it's time for me to chow down. So folks, I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this. I'm going to try to keep it short if I can, but yeah, you know me when it comes to cooking. And a special thanks goes out to Carolina Chris Outdoors, and to Diddy Bushcrafting Outdoors, and for the Florida Survival Boy for Canteen Cup Tuesdays, which he started. Like I say, that this may not end up on a Tuesday, I don't know, but hey, it's just always fun cooking in your canteen cup, especially when you got the right implements like a fork made bushcraft style. This is good. I will definitely do this again, but that was my last pack. And remember this is Amateur Artist Mark D. Chandler once again from Manland, wishing you and y'all a very happy YouTube experience out there. And remember this, you can actually do some good cooking when you got the right stuff. A bushcraft fork It wasn't made on the spot, but it's Mississippi cane pole. May not help you get it all in your mouth, but there it is. See ya. Catfish.